I made some of the most common investing mistakes you can make when investing in the stock market, and I lost my entire life savings. That's a true story, and it's coming up now. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Jay, and on this channel, I give you the tools, the tips, and the tactics that you need to get the most out of your money. I started this channel because I've been investing in the stock market for over 20 years, and I wanted to pass along a lot of the knowledge and mistakes that I've made along the way. This video is about what I've learned from those mistakes, and I'm going to take you back to the beginning of that 20-year journey right now. So for the story of the investing mistakes that led me to losing my entire life savings in the stock market, we have to go back to the year 2000. In the year 2000, I was a young, smart, good-looking high school kid with his whole future ahead of him. And I was also extremely interested in the stock market. Now, for those of you that weren't around back then, the year 1999-2000 was kind of similar to what we're going through right now. The stock market was on an absolute tear. It was the height of the tech boom. Basically, any company with a website was making bank in the stock market. So me being the enthusiastic young investor I was, I didn't want to miss out on all the fun. So I convinced my parents to open a brokerage account for me and let me take my entire life savings to that point and start playing around in the stock market. Great idea, right? Now this was all the money I had ever saved up. All the money from grandma's birthday cards, little odd jobs walking people's dogs, my job at the grocery store I was working at the time. I took it all out of my savings account and put it into the brokerage accounts. Now, much like today, where you can't turn a corner without someone talking about Tesla or Apple or Amazon or Facebook and all these stocks that are just making tons of money and the market is going wild, everyone wants a piece of it, it was very similar back then. Stocks were going wild, everyone wanted a piece of it, and of course, everyone had their own opinions. So one day after school, I'm sitting there on the family computer. That's right, we had to share a computer back then. My dad came home from work and started talking to me about his conversation he had with his friend at work. Now, this friend was supposedly a longtime investor, knew a lot about the stock market, whatever, and he said, hey, Hewlett-Packard is going to spin off this company. It's called Agilent Technologies. I think it's got great potential. You should take a look at it. So my dad takes this stock tip, comes home, tells me, hey, my friend at work thinks this stock has got a lot of potential. So upon hearing that, I just see dollar signs in my eyes. Wow, a new technology company, brand new, spinning off from HP that everyone at the time knew and loved. This can't miss. Let me go for it. So I took my entire life savings. This was probably January of 2000 or so, and I put it all in Agilent Technologies at around $50 per share. So I can see some of you putting the pieces together right now. High school kid takes his entire life savings, throws it into a technology stock based on a tip from a stranger. What could go wrong? Well, to begin with, nothing went wrong. From early 2000, the stock started going up nearly every day. Like I said, it was a time where it didn't matter what the stock was. If they were involved in technology or the internet in any way, you were going to make money. So day after day, I would check my brokerage account, loving how much money I was making on this stock. And then things got nuts. In the first week of March in the year 2000, Agilent Technologies was trading for around $75 a share. Now, I had bought it around $50 a share, so $75 a share was already a great gain in 2 months, especially for a young high school kid. From March 3rd of that year to March 7th of that year, Agilent Technologies went from around $75 a share to $112 per share in just a few days. And you know what? While I was sitting there watching the stock skyrocket every day that week, alarm bells started going off in my head. Wow, this is great, but this can't really continue, can it? So, I kid you not, at the absolute peak of Agilent Technologies' run from $75 all the way up to $112, I sold at the absolute peak. I had turned my little savings account that was earning probably 2% interest at a time and turned it into what at the time was a huge amount of money for a high school kid like me. I was so happy I had made all this money. I was so happy I sold that stock when I did, that when my dad came home from work that day, the first thing I said is, "Dad, you won't believe it. I sold Agilent and look at how much money I made." And his immediate reaction was, "What? You sold it? What if it keeps going up?" Now, he didn't mean this in a condescending way or like I was an idiot for selling what I did. It was just a natural reaction because back then, much like right now, the entire attitude of everyone was, stocks only go up. And so I did what any impressionable young teenager with now a lot of money would do. I listened to dear old dad, and the very next day at the market open, I took all of that money and put it all back into Agilent Technologies stock. And here, my friends, is where the story gets sad. The stock just tumbled day after day after day after that point. I had sold at the exact perfect time, but then I put it all back in because I was scared I might miss out on even further gains. So I continued to watch the stock tumble and tumble and tumble for another few months before finally selling all my shares for a fraction of what I initially paid. So I had taken my entire life savings from that safe, dear old savings account, bet it all on a hot new technology stock, ran it up big, and then lost it all. So what's the moral of the story here? There's a couple. Number one, don't take random stock tips from family members, friends, strangers, or guys on the internet. You should always do your own due diligence into any stock you buy. Make sure you understand what you're buying, make sure you understand the risks involved, make sure it fits your strategy for your money. The second lesson, second moral of this story, is don't get caught up in the hype. Back then, any stock associated with even the flimsiest of websites, if it had a .com on its name, people thought it was gold. So while there were a few gems in there, like Amazon, there were many more companies and websites that were just complete garbage that people just ended up losing their money on eventually. And the third lesson, the third moral of this story, is don't have FOMO, the fear of missing out. I bought back in the stock even after I had made a ton of money on it because I was scared of missing even more gains. When you're investing, when you're in the stock market, you don't have to bat 1,000. You don't have to buy at the absolute bottom and sell at the absolute top. All you have to do is make money. So if we're going to tie that into today's market, my message and my lesson for anyone out there watching is you don't have to hit on every Tesla or Amazon or Facebook or whatever the current hot stock is that everyone wants to pile into. You don't need to hit them all. There are plenty of ways to make money in the market, and our only job is to make sure we're making money. It's like the famous Warren Buffett quote. There are 2 rules to investing. Number 1, don't lose money. Number 2, don't forget rule number 1. So I hope you enjoy this stroll down memory lane with me. If you like this story, if you like this video, please gently tap the thumbs up button down below and give this video a like. Leave me a comment sympathizing with me about all that lost money back in the day. I hope you can use this information so you don't make the same mistakes I did. And if you made it this far in the video, you might as well subscribe. What have you got to lose? I put out new videos every Tuesday and Friday. I don't want you to miss them. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. It's from the old Conan O'Brien show. They used to do this skit in the year 2000, and they used to have a funny little, in the year 2000. So, I'm gonna intro like the time frame I'm talking about, and then hopefully gonna put in that little tiny clip